Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I am with the Shin Institute, and we are today on Spiritual Warriors Wisdom, and I'm really excited to have my friend and guest from this time not too far away. My friend Vince is in the mighty metropolis of Greater Vancouver. So welcome to the show, Vince.
Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
So let's just jump right into it. Vince, I'm pretty sure that you were just like everyone else, and you were born with a spiritual knowing. You had everything made perfect. Nothing was wrong in your life. It was just perfect, right? Isn't that how it goes?
I've been perfect ever since.
And thank you for tuning in. Yes. So when did you discover that there was more to life than you could feel and touch? That there was just something out there that you were searching for?
Well, I think that was pretty early on. When I was young, I was kind of born into a family of I guess peace, love, and granola hippies, and they were pretty involved in their journeys, and I found a lot of solace out in the woods, hanging out with the animals and the trees, and growing up, that's mostly where I spent my time. Was A lot of it was alone. I did go visit friends sometimes, but a lot of it was alone, and I really had a great time in the woods, and I'd be out there barefoot, walking through the trees everywhere, just having a blast. I love that, and the beach, and those were my places of real connection. And then I was raised in a I guess I'll call it a religious cult, and for lack of a better word. And it was a great learning lesson and it showed me a lot of things about myself, and I got to learn. It was probably the greatest growing experience a person could ever be gifted in this life. So I'm actually quite grateful it all happened the way it did, and so from that, I mean, I've grown into this place where we do healing religious oppression workshops. We do. I'm writing some books around that, but these are going to be more from an anonymous sort of way, so that people aren't implicated in the stories. Before I thought it was going to have to be all about me and how all the healing realms and blah blah blah, and then it's like, you know what? Get rid of the ego, write it anonymously. More people will be helped that way. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, thanks for that. So that's how I'll take care of that too. Right? So, so it's basically been such a beautiful journey, and a lot of learnings have happened through finding my earth spirituality. So finding, like, connecting with Earth Mother, Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, Star Nation, all them, and it's really been the hugest advantage for me. So I spend a lot of time now in Sweat Lodge every Sunday, and lots of First Nation ceremonies, and I love to go really, really deep into meditation, and meditating with trees, and just going all the way down into the root systems and seeing what the roots see, and it's just when we get still enough, we can really hear the messages that the trees, they have voices, we can hear them, they talk, but we need to be still enough to hear them. And in these chaotic environments like these cities with all the Wi-Fi and the EMFs, and it's just like they're set up to keep us distracted from being able to meditate and connect in those ways. So I would say that that's the greatest thing. I love to swim in the ocean. Doesn't really matter what season for me. I find it's instant grounding because my whole body is now grounded in grounding energy. So, yeah, so those are really, really important for me. And, yeah, I took some transpersonal psychology counseling, just did my first year, and that was really eye-opening, and now we're applying a lot of that to our workshops as well. So like in the religious suppression healing circle, like, I originally started going to this one, it's called Warriors Against Violence healing circles, and First Nations one, and we meet in ceremony, and we pass the eagle feather, and we talk, and we get a voice to our pain, right? The thing is that some of those people have been going there for 40 years. 40 years. Well, I'm glad they've had a place to talk about their pain for 40 years, but what about transforming that pain? And that's where Rebecca and I come in with the work that we're doing, is we have experiential exercises that transform that pain from the anger and the angst and the turmoils, the traumas that are deep inside, and it turns it into a vulnerable place. Underneath my attack and blame, I feel, and we take it right down to a place where, will you help me remember that I am lovable, kind of thing, and someone will represent that other person that hurt them, and they get to start with attack and blame, and we take them all the way through the process. And we've been doing those in a lot of our different workshops. We did a sacred language workshop out in the Slocan there the other weekend, and it was so favorably received, especially, and we went around, we asked the crowd, hey, what do you want to work on? And it was anger for everybody. It's like, yeah, let's get into it. And so you see these little old timid ladies, and all of a sudden they're just getting ferocious, eh? Yeah, it was so good.
So I know enough of you that it's like now you're in a good place, but how did you go from, like, you have very strong warrior energy. So at some point in time in your life, and without us going into the detail, your life was different than it was now. What are some, like, for you to call upon the warrior energy to get you from your turbulent past to your present here? What were some of the tools that you used to get you from there to this centered person that sits in front of me right here and right now?
Well, one thing is the breath. The space between the breath is infinite. And I can take a breath in, and that gives me all this space to connect to creator or spirit or whatever you want to call it, connect to earth energy, and really just sit with that question that is begging either a response or a reaction out of me. And then when I breathe in, I can actually hold my breath open for as long as I want. I can sit there with my lungs expanded and not need to take another breath. That's my time now. That's my time to sit and reflect and bask in all the realm of infinite possibilities of how I can respond to this. So, and I'd love to sit and lie to you and tell you that I've got this all perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I certainly have found that to be one of the best tools ever. Mm-hmm.
So one of the underlying lessons in there I'm hearing is choice. Mm-hmm. That you now recognize that you have a choice in any given moment.
Yeah, so if someone is attacking me or coming at me, and where in the past I may used to react because it would trigger me. It would take me back to another time where, oh no, this reminds me of a time when I was unworthy or unlovable, and therefore up come the defenses and the walls and the protection mechanisms start flowing. But I've learned through a lot of the work I've been doing is that the strength is in the vulnerability. So if somebody comes up to me, you're an ass. And I can say, yeah, sometimes I am an ass, which tends to deflate their big, huge wind really fast. And then, and would you like to tell me more about how I'm an ass? I would like to hear it. is I think you really have something you need to tell me, you know? And when I can respond that way, it sure seems to land and deflate or diffuse a situation rather than getting everything charged up more or amped more, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see and to feel this, because yeah, like we're all human and we all have that. But it's when we're able to be in the moment and truly appreciate, even when it's negative stuff throwing somebody's in our face, and we can respond from a place of love and choice. That to me takes a powerful person to be able to do that. And I, like you, am not in that every single moment, and I strive to be able to respond from a place of love and compassion as opposed to
So if the bodhisattva is someone on their way to Buddhahood, and they've got to go through the 13 levels of suffering in order to get there, to understand true compassion, that absolute empathy for all beings, all sentient beings, then, you know, I'm probably somewhere in around a 2.5 on the scale.
Yeah,
so, a ways to go. But I haven't arrived yet, but, you know, these tools have come in, and I'm practicing them, and it's nice. You know, at Love Medicine, we've got a couple of guiding questions. It's like a simplified spirituality. And it's,
I just need to interrupt. So Love Medicine is what? You just threw this concept. You said Love Medicine, and you haven't said what Love Medicine is.
Oh, Love Medicine is loving interconnectedness with all life. So that's our slogan for our business, which is a lot of healing offerings. It's basically transformative artistry is what we offer. And that's everything from art therapy, painting, to ecstatic dance, to deep healing, transformative workshops, experiential exercises, counseling, coaching, those sort of pieces. Yeah. And there's even some intentional tattooing in there, and tattoo ceremonies. Yeah, it's kind of a neat little offering. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If those that are just tuning in and they don't know Vince is a phenomenal tattoo artist, and I have no desire to get one, but if I choose to get one, I'm making the trip to BC, and I know who's going to do this for me. So Vince, we're coming up to halfway here, so we've covered some pretty good things. But if our listeners are intrigued and they want to know more about Love Medicine and or about you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you besides follow the link that'll be to your Facebook page here?
Well, if they go to our webpage, of course, there's email contact there at lovemedicine.ca. Lovely little blogs that we're writing, and we're working with the Medicine Wheel with the teaching. So we've got quite a few different paths that are all wrapped into that Medicine Wheel. So it's Love Medicine Wheel, and it works with the seasons and the cycles of the planets and the moons, and it's really really fascinating time of the East right now. And so yeah, they can contact. I do believe there's some phone numbers there as well. So, but lovemedinfo is the email address.
Sweet, thanks. And even Vince mentioned the Medicine Wheel, and anyone there's warrior energy, there's healing energy, and they do work together. But the warrior energy, I've never met a shaman that has not had more energy than any warrior I've ever had. Because go down the shamanistic path takes an incredible amount of dedication, determination, fortitude, discipline. All of these traits and characteristics that we associate with a warrior class or the spiritual warrior are identical and needed to be a really good shaman, to stick with it for the long term. So they're, to me, both the traits are so close, and just they're doing things in a different way. So for me, Vince is a spiritual warrior, is a creative warrior. I've seen this man when he throws his passion into his artwork. There is nothing that will break his focus. It is like, this is what consumes his soul. And it's beautiful to see. We have in my kitchen, we have a copy of one of Vince's artwork, and we love it, and we think fondly of Vince when we see it. It's the frog, the tree frog.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Home is where the art is.
Yeah. So what do you think, if we're talking about a spiritual warrior, what do you think are some of the traits that you admire in a spiritual warrior?
Well, I was just telling, I have a hero, and I heard her speak last night, and years ago she was in drugs and things, and she said that she'd been raped 178 times. She's been stabbed 17 times. Her son committed suicide last year, and she had to untie him from the tree, from the noose, eh? And then her nephew did the same thing, and it was just this huge, long list of
oh my gosh,
through this. And she is my hero. I'm telling you, she is so dedicated to service. She runs sweat lodges. She sun dances. She works 3 jobs now because she's going to look after these grandkids too. But she works 3 jobs, and they're all service industry related. And she just gives of herself to service and still finds time to do self-care, and works a really, really disciplined religious program. And she flourishes. I tell you what, man, I love this woman. She is amazing. And I told her last night, I said, you're my hero. One of many. I have many, but she's just one of the traits of the person that I want to emulate. So a mentor for me, right? And so that's why I'm pledging to Sundance this year, because there's so many people that have totally and radically transformed their own lives through that shamanic path. And I get to go do Vision Quest here in a couple weeks and go sit on what they call Shaman's Mountain. And then the elders, they sit at the bottom while I'm up there with no food, no water for 4 days. And really get to touch in and start to experience that from the way they do it, hey? And then Sundance is a couple of weeks after that, so, which apparently is a little more grueling than that. But we'll see.
One of my friends went on a vision quest, and the shaman took him to the area and said, "I will come back and get you." And 2 days had passed, and what he didn't know is his shaman had gone into the city and gotten into a car accident.
Oh no.
And he was out for an additional 2 other days. And as soon as he woke and was cognizant, he's telling people, "You need to go get George."
Cute.
So George was gone for 5 days and up without food and water.
Wow. Awesome.
And George had ended up getting water. He just said that he knew something was wrong, but George also knew he needed to stay there because that was his only way, because he didn't know the way out, so he needed to stay where he was. So he drank the water, but no food. But they did find him.
And a whole nother spectrum of this is my friend Steve Curtis. He owns perceptionmedicine.org. And he cured his own cancer in his own body after sitting with some shamans who taught him how to see his ailment, which he was dying of a cancer, and he had 6 months left. And they changed how he looked at it. And so now he's changed how he looks at everything, and his life has changed so radically. His latest book is called Curing Terminal. Really, really good book. And so with him, it's all about how do we look inside and how do we find gratitude in every moment, because everything that happens to us is a gift. If our heart's beating, man, we got so much to be grateful for. So if everything that happens is a gift, then why am I resisting this? Because if what I resist persists, then I'm going to get more of my resistance. So why don't I just let that go and just open to what is and feel the feelings all the way through? This is something I was never really good at in the past. And now I'm learning to feel the feelings until sometimes I feel like maybe they're going to kill me. And guess what? They don't kill me. No. But I come out the other side really, really well. So Kelly Toby was the first one to introduce me to that concept, but I've really been embracing it lately. So, yeah.
And it's interesting because through the First Nations shamanic path, they've been there for thousands of years. And we as North Americans have been doing a disservice by not embracing their culture till now. And equally, the First Nations keeping it away from us has done us a disservice. So there's this disharmony between the two. Because people like Brandon Braze has created a book called The Journey, and it's a process, it might be 10, 15 years old, this process. And inadvertently, it follows some of the inner journeying and the inner works of the ancients. So she's either tapped into a higher spirit or she's worked with some, and people just flock to do her work, but yet we have teachers not very far from any major center. There you can find great teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that is for sure. So I love to sit in these ceremonies all the time, as much as I can, and the elders tell me, they say, take the ceremony out of the lodge and live it in your everyday life. Live your life as though everything is sacred, because everything is. Yeah. And and that's where we started developing the sacred empowering language workshops as well. So we've got some books and things coming along with that, and they're a real hit. Like, just unbelievable response to sacred empowering language. So I think we're going to be doing workshops in Vancouver this next year once a week, because it's just like, wow, the response of the workshops were like, you have to turn people away because too many people are showing up. And that's a really, really good one. I never would have dreamed it was going to be this good. I knew it was good because, we're practicing it and it's coming out of us, and oh man, I could read you my text, and that one of the books we want to do is just basically some of the texts we've sent each other, because it just, this flow happens. It's like, wow, what is this? Who is this? What realm are we in? This doesn't feel like Earth anymore, Mm-hmm.
And as a spiritual warrior, it takes a great deal of discipline to be open and vulnerable. And it's an oxymoron that you need discipline to be open and vulnerable, to allow this to come in, because we're taught to have something in every moment, but yet our greatest creativity comes in the nothing.
That's right. In the stillness.
Yeah. And it takes a great deal of discipline for us to take, whether it's going to be sitting in a sweat lodge, whether it's going to be meditating on your cushion, whether it's a trance stance. It takes, because you got to get there. You have to set the time. You have to make all the logistics occur. And then sometimes it's just to sit for long periods of time. It does hurt as your tush is getting used to it. And it's a spiritual practice. And many people, because it's a practice to make better, quit too early. Stop. When it gets painful, we don't want to do it. But yet you just keep moving through it.
That's right. Yeah. Keep moving on.
So we're almost at the end here. So once again, what's the best way if people want to get a hold of you And what was your so one, what's the best way of people to get a hold of you? And what was your website again?
www.lovemedicine.ca.
Okay.
And there is lovemedinfo@gmail.com is the email for that one. And yeah, I mean, there's some phone numbers, for Rebecca and I there as well. So yeah, feel free to give us a call. Can't guarantee that you're going to get us on the other end, but for sure leave us a message and we'll definitely get back. Email is probably the best way when people are reaching out. And yeah, we're really, really excited. Hopefully you can come out to some workshops, and we're going to be traveling nomadically with our workshops as well, to get out to a wider audience, and a lot of eco-sustainable pieces in that too, because our Earth Mother needs so much help. So we're really about off-grid living, permaculture, and eating healthy off the land, and living in harmony with Earth energy frequencies. Yeah.
Sweet. So I'm really excited because I have a conversation with your beloved next week. So we've got Rebecca coming on next week's show, and I'm excited about that. So have you got any final parting wisdom, thoughts, ramblings that you would like to share with our viewers before we go?
Sure. I mean, I'll be transparent and honest that, I'm a recovery guy, and got 10 years clean and sober myself. And so I started getting so many sponsees that I couldn't get around to working with them on one-on-one. And I really wanted to take them through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, through this boot camp process, which is a pretty speedy way of doing it to get it done. But I wanted to do it in ceremony. I wanted to do smudge, and I wanted to call in the directions and really ceremony it up. And then I got invited to this 12 Steps to Wellbriety group. And I went, holy smokes, this is exactly what I was wanting to set up. And because it's all done, and all these elders have written and contributed all this stuff. It's just unbelievable. Like, I've done the steps in 5 different fellowships, and this one is like, what? Finally. I tell you what, I've been having a lot of finally moments in my life. So it's really cool because Rebecca, she hosts a 13 clan mother, the 13 clan mother teachings. She hosts a woman's circle the night before, like on the new moon. And then so the energy is just supercharged when all the men come in. We use the same altar that she used the night before, and they come in sometimes and they're like, whoa, what is this place? I can't believe the energy in here. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Very good. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
That's good. So it's been wonderful to talk with you, and thank you for being open and sharing and vulnerable. And our readers, if you please check out lovemedicine.ca. And Vince is very approachable, and he doesn't bite, and he'd love for you to connect. So thank you, Vince.
All right. Thank you so much, Neil. So many blessings. And my love to your beloved wife.
Thank you.